Let's go ahead and get recording, and then I'll do my sound check here. We're going to broadcast. And let's see here. All right. I'm going to wait for some people to pop in, and then we'll do, hey, Kathy, Simone. Oh, boy, here you guys come. Awesome. Hey, can I get a sound check, you guys? Yes, we can hear you all as well, and we're going to get started. All right. Just put it in the chat for me. And I'm going to call on you, Andre. Go ahead and give me the thumbs up or the yes, you're good. Thank you so much, Simone. I appreciate it. So I am so excited today. I'm going to introduce Kendrick here. I can't even tell you. This is such a needed subject, and I'm super excited to have you with us. Kendrick Shope is the creator of the leading sales training for women entrepreneurs, Sales School, and the authentic selling process, which has created millions of dollars in revenue and new business for her clients. Kendrick's hosts her own podcast and TV show, Sell Like a Woman, reaching nearly 100,000 followers, in 6 continents. That's amazing. Kendrick's work has been featured on the Steve Harvey Show, NBC, Forbes, Inc., and more. And we could not be more grateful for you being here today, because what can I say about health coaches and our mindsets about selling? So much. So tell us how you got into this, and just share a little bit about yourself and your story.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It is such an honor to be here. I love have a special place in my heart for health coaches. I have worked with some in the past. They've changed my life, and also the work that you do. It is so impactful and so needed. And so thank you. It is such an honor to be here. I am, as you said, I'm the creator of Authentic Selling, which means absolutely nothing to anyone listening. But I work with, I guess people would describe themselves as creatives, business owners. I work with everybody from the one-person business person who comes through health coach school or gets trained as a health coach and wants to go out and change the world, to Fortune 500 companies to improve their selling, which ultimately means you're going to be able to reach more people, do more of what you love, and make more money. So that's what sales allows you to do, and that's what I do.
Okay, that's awesome. So here's the thing that I'm running into with health coaches. And today, you guys, this is an organic conversation. So feel free to put your questions in the Q&A and chat in the chat, and let us know what your concerns and thoughts are. But one of the things I hear the most about is that coaches don't want to be pitched to, and they don't want to sell themselves. They don't want to sell. So can you talk a little bit about what it means to be pitched to, and really why we should be comfortable with selling ourselves?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I'm going to answer the second part of the question first.
Okay.
So coaches don't want to be sold to or don't want to sell themselves. Selling gets a bad rap. And there are lots of reasons why, and I could bore you with all the reasons, but at the end of the day, it boils down to we've all had that really crummy sales experience. I call it, we've been bullied or sales bullied into buying something we didn't want, that didn't deliver, or that we regretted in some shape, form, or fashion. Nobody wants to be that person. The good news is if you distill selling down to what it is at its core, in other words, you Google the word selling, you're going to see in black and white, selling is the exchange of money for a product or service. So let's say you're going to sell me this lipstick. I'm going to give you money for it. That's all selling is, the exchange of money for a product or service. Right. There's nothing icky, sleazy, slimy, gross about that. As a matter of fact, if I'm in the need for lipstick, you could say you're helping me by providing something that I am able to purchase. So the exchange of money for, I just broke my cute little band here. The exchange of money for a product or service. Now, we like to take that one step further, especially with health coaches, because it is my core belief that if you have a product or service that can change someone's life, business, health,
Oh, we've lost you, volume.
Then why would you not share?
Yeah.
Selling is helping. And so when people say, I don't want my people to feel like they're sold to, what they're actually saying is, I don't want to be that icky, sleazy, slimy sales bully.
Yes.
If you view selling is helping, I have the skills to change someone's health. It's your obligation to go out and tell them how.
I totally agree with that. And I've said in the past that, you're really doing people a disservice by not putting yourself out there for them. It'd be like someone walking into a hospital and needing help and everyone being like, no, I'm sorry. Yep. I can't help you. I'd be selling to you. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. So let's go, let's talk a little bit about what that looks like for a health coach. And the reason I think it is so sensitive is because we get into this position of helping people with their health. And, some of our health coaches are hobbyists, which I'm trying to change. Health coach hobbyist is not a hobby. It is a profession. But we get into it because we've had a journey of our own and we just desperately want to see people healthy and happy. So we feel like we should be giving them everything for free. And that's a big problem with health coaches. They don't know how to stop giving away everything. So can you talk a little bit about how that mentality can maybe shift a little bit, that we do deserve to get paid for our knowledge and our time?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the first thing here is, it's okay if you want to run a nonprofit business. It's not what I help people do, although nonprofits have to sell all the time, but you have to make a choice. Even if you're a hobbyist, you're giving people your time. Right. And time is your most precious resource on this planet. It's more precious than money. It's more, you cannot make more time. And so you have to decide what that fair exchange is. Maybe you want to be a nonprofit and give it away now like the Red Hot Chili Peppers. That's fine. Absolutely fine. There is a decision that you have to make. Once you've made the decision that I want to be a nonprofit or I want to be a for-profit, I do want to get paid. It's okay for me to get paid. Then we have to dance that line of how much is too much? How much is too much to give away? But I think that you raise a really interesting question, which is, do we deserve to get paid for our knowledge? And my answer to that would be, why wouldn't you deserve to get paid for your knowledge? Mm-hmm. I mean, health coaches have gone through some level of learning, some level of expertise, not to mention their own experience, likely, that allows them to have a perspective that the layperson or the non-health coach does not have. And if you want to get paid for that, why would you not want to get paid for that? It's one of the most beautiful ways to get paid because you know that you are changing somebody's life. And so I think that really is kind of it's a really deep subject, and we have to do a little mind work there, a little limiting belief work there about, well, why would you not deserve to get paid for your knowledge? Does your physician deserve to get paid when you go to the doctor? Does the health food store deserve to get paid when you go and buy health food? What makes you any different than every other for-profit business out there?
I love that. I love that. Yes. I love that you flip that upside down like that. It changes the whole entire conversation. I have often said, when people come to us, are they expecting to get something for free? Sometimes they are. Maybe they're an old family friend that's been picking at our brain for several years. And now that we've got a certification or we have all this knowledge, they want it all for free. And so my thing is would you drive into a place to get your oil changed and then not to expect to pay? Of course not. You wouldn't. No. So that's another thing. I'm glad you brought that up about how much and, how much do you want to get paid and how do we determine that number? Because that's one of the bigger questions as well as, I don't want to ask for too much, but then I don't want to ask for too little. It is a very gray area for health coaches in the middle there. So how do you determine that?
So I think that there's a lot of really bad information about this out there and available. So there are 7 steps in selling. So selling overarchingly is the exchange of money for a product or service, right? There's 7 steps. We break selling down into 7 steps, and this is not Kendrick's authentic selling. This is what sales professionals all over the world break selling down into. And steps 1 and 2 are, step 1 is prospecting and step 2 is engaging. Step 3 is getting to the problem. Step 4 is presenting a solution. Step 5 is overcoming objections. Step 6 is closing the deal and over delivering. And step 7 is results. What really happens when we get into this pricing discussion is people try to jump to steps 3, 4, and 5 before they've prospected and engaged. So you can't do that. It won't work. It would be like walking up to a total stranger and saying, hey, do you want to marry me and give me all the money in your bank account forever? Yeah. Like marry me and give me all the money that you've ever made in your whole life and your retirement to a total stranger. Nobody's going to do that. Right. We've got to have a relationship. The question around pricing. So the reason I share that is because I believe that in the beginning, we get paid in experience and money. Mm-hmm. So I am a big proponent, and people don't like it, but I am a big proponent of your introductory prices being low. Yes. Low, like $197, $97. It's the way I got started. Me too. That does a lot of wonderful things for you. Number one, it creates raving fans because your only goal there is to over deliver. And if you don't have $197 or $97 worth of knowledge to deliver to someone who doesn't have knowledge about this, then you don't have any business coaching. You don't have any business selling your products or services like you do. It also increases your confidence because just because I've been through coach training school or whatever doesn't mean I know how to coach. And so we need a little bit of this experience. The first time I got on with a client as a sales expert, I had over a decade's worth of top performing sales experience. However, the first time I got on with a client, she said to me, "Am I your first client?" And I was mortified.
Oh my God.
And I said to her, "You absolutely are. But I guarantee you by the end of this, you're going to be a raving fan." And she is. Like I had no problem saying, "Yep, you're $197. You're one of my first clients. And I may be a little rusty in the delivery of this, but we're going to figure it out." Getting that confidence and the knowledge that you get in the beginning allows you to raise your prices so much faster.
Yes.
And charge what you're worth.
Yes.
And then I have one more thing about this, if I may.
Absolutely. Of course.
So the question that brought us here is, how do we know what to charge? And so there's this little exercise we teach in sales school. And in sales school, we say you need to answer 3 questions. And one of these questions is going to make a lot of coaches cringe, but it's a powerful exercise. So the first question is, all right, price it. Where do you want to price it? I want to price it at $1 million. Great. Would you pay $1 million for it? No, I don't need it. Okay, great. But if you needed it, would you pay $1 million for it? Not no, but heck no, I wouldn't pay $1 million for it. Okay, would you?
Hang in there, guys. She's frozen.
I'd pay $5,000 for it. Great. Oops.
You're freezing up. Okay, there you go. Yep, you're good. Okay.
So you need to know where your comfort level is and what you would pay because that allows you to be able to ask for that amount of money. The next thing you need to do is say, do I deliver $5,000 worth of value? The way you do that is you get a sheet of paper or a Google Doc and you write down all the promises on your sales page. These are all the things I'm going to deliver. Is this $5,000 or more worth of value? And then the final question you ask yourself, not your customers. So I'm never going to ask you to do this with your customers, but you need to be able to answer it. And this is the gross question. Why should, and I use that word intentionally because it's a dirty word, someone consider going into debt to buy this $5,000 product or service?
Yes.
And again, it's gross. It's gross. We're never going to use that. But you need to believe in the difference you make so much that it is a no-brainer for people to go into debt to buy this product or service. Don't care what your opinion is about debt. You've got to know the life-changing benefit. And if you can't get there on $5,000, then take it down to $3,000. And if you can't get there on $3,000, then take it down to $200. I don't care. But you've got to be sold first. And that's the mistake we make with pricing. So really,
oh my gosh, I'm so aligned with this. And you have no idea. This is part of my training in the school. As we talk about this is how do you tier up on your pricing? Like if you're a brand new coach and you've never done it, I mean, you've got to be reasonable. You've got to gain some experience and have that. And I also believe that, the confidence that we're talking about right now to say, oh, I 100% am going to change your life. Know it. It's coming your way, but you've got to believe that it's going to happen. You get that with experience and watching people change, optimize their health and their lives change. So I think that those two things kind of ride in the same car together, hand in hand. You've got, once you get that experience, you start getting that confidence and you're like, you know what? I'm so much more than $197 a month or an hour or whatever. Yes. Oh, I love that. I love that so much. Awesome. So
I'm sorry. One of the things that happened for me was like people started emailing back and saying I made an extra $15,000 as a result. And I'm like, well, dang, I got $197 for that. Like, okay, maybe it's time to raise my prices because if you're making $15,000 and I'm still struggling to pay the bills, there's a disconnect here. I mean, your customers will let you know how to raise your prices because they'll email back and say, oh my God, you changed my life. I lost 500 pounds. I didn't eat fried food for the first time, whatever.
Yes. And I love that as a barometer for how we're doing. And that's one of the reasons I think that, the testimonials and the feedback and really dialing in and checking in with your people as you're working through the relationship, you guys, not at the end only or the very beginning, as you're moving through the relationship. How can I best support you? How are you feeling this is going so far? What do we need to adjust and adapt with each other? Like, how can we make this better? That just helps you to gain that more experience and to be able to feel confident when you're done with that relationship, right? To raise your prices.
Absolutely. Without a doubt.
Okay. So what about the existing coach right now that is like, okay, yeah, I'm rocking it. I know it. I know my stuff. I'm going to increase my prices. You talk about, increasing your income by 50%. How do you do that? How does somebody that's already kind of, moving forward, progressing, how do they do that?
So statistics show that you can increase your revenue, your number of yeses by 50 to 80. So I quote the low end, 50 to 80% by learning how to follow up with potential clients. So lots of times what happens is people will have an initial sales conversation and the person will say, I can't afford it, need to talk to my spouse, whatever. And we may follow up once. After that, follow up being the email communication that goes after that. We may follow up twice for those people who are rocking and are really confident. But statistics show that less than 2% of people follow up more than it's 2 or 3 times. When you learn how to follow up beyond that, it's statistically proven that your revenue will go up, that you will hear 50 to 80% more yeses. And there is a way to do it without feeling icky, sleazy, slimy, gross, like a nuisance. The other thing here to remember is if you genuinely are sold on the difference that your product or service makes and you are helping people, follow-up will feel like helping. It won't feel like I'm being a nuisance. It'll feel like, actually, I know I can help this person. I know I can change their lives. I know I can help lower their A1Cs, whatever. Then you're going to want to follow up because it's going to feel like helping rather than like selling.
Right. Okay, good point. So two parts to this next question. One of them is the follow-up. How do you do that without feeling icky and sleazy? Is it by email? Is it saying, hey, let me add you to my list and keep you up to date on what I'm doing and maybe we can stay in touch that way? How do you do that?
So follow-up's a tricky thing. It's not something, unfortunately, that you can teach super quick. There are some rules of thumb for that. So the first thing is to ask yourself, okay, how do I want to be followed up with? Mm-hmm. So you need to get into your customer's shoes. So for example, let's say that you've had a sales call with somebody and they said it's just not the right time. So we teach 7 tools for overcoming objections, 7 verbatims that you can say to that. But then the question becomes, how would I want to be followed up with? Yeah. What would make me feel loved, supported, would make me want to circle back around to you as a potential customer? What can I say here? The next thing is do it. So lots of, people will say, well, they didn't respond to my email, or I don't care. Don't go into some story about why somebody didn't respond. You have no idea why they didn't respond. Maybe it went to spam. Maybe they're busy, but we want to follow up and we want to continue to do it. Put it on a cycle, put it on a rotation, check in every 3 months. You crossed my mind today. I remember the last time we spoke, your type 2 diabetes and your A1Cs were going through the roof. I used to sell a type 2 diabetes drug, and you were looking to improve nutrition so that, your A1Cs would go back down and whatever. How you progressing with that? How can I help? So, follow-up doesn't have to be a buy now, get on my email list. It could be just a check-in. How are you going? I remember you were struggling with XYZ. How's that going? We want to get a conversation moving forward so we can show how we can help.
I love that. And that is one of the things that I feel like I've kind of, now that I'm actually educating health coaches, but still health coaching, I still go back and find some of those clients that I know were like, my spouse is objecting to spending this and we shouldn't this. And I always say, you know what, I'm always going to be here when the time comes around that you're able to do that. And they'll usually come back with something, I was thinking about you just last week. And, I've had that happen twice in the last 2 weeks. So I've got 2 clients I'm meeting with next week that were like, oh my gosh, I forgot to get back with you. And many times life gets away from us, don't you think? Where they may have a note that says, contact Carmen about, her new pricing. And then they forget. And then you pop up or you run into them at the grocery and they're like, I need to talk to you.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. Okay. So the second part of the question is kind of going back to what you said. And it's not verbatim, but you said, when people are saying, I have to talk to my spouse, or it's not the time right now. Do you have any tips for overcoming the one of the biggest objections is, my husband doesn't think it's worth it, or my husband doesn't believe in what you're offering and wants me to go to the doctor instead. Like, how do we use words that make sense to people when we're trying to help them understand what we're offering?
Yeah. So the first time, anytime anybody gives you any objection, whatever it is, step number 1 is thank you for sharing that with me. Mm-hmm. So, and think about this, because, lots of times most salespeople learn to just pounce on that, right? Make people feel like crap and pounce. So when we say, and actually Neuro research shows that the amygdala in people's brain gets hijacked when they say, I can't afford it, when they're giving you a reason. And so we want to calm that amygdala down. We don't want them in making decisions right now in fight or flight. Actually, they're trying to flee. They're doing flight. And so we just want to say, thanks so much for sharing that with me. It's not easy to say you can't afford it. It's not easy to say your husband's not on board. So thank you so much for sharing that with me. And then you want to use step 2 is the words, I understand. I understand how it feels to want to start a new career as a health coach, and your husband, says he's not on board. Well, I've been doing this long enough to know along this know that many coaches have felt this way in the past, or we've all been there before. We see something that could change our life, our health, our business, our weight, and our spouse isn't on board. It's not a fun place to be. So step 1 and 2, always, any objection. Thank you for sharing that with me. I understand how it feels. That there's some sales research that I won't get into, but that needs to be verbatim. Thank you, and I understand. Those words, not I get it, not I know. Thank you, and I understand how it feels. Right. The next step here would be, so for someone who says to a health coach, my husband wants me to go to the doctor. My husband, you don't take insurance. My husband wants me to take insurance. What I would say here is I think it's tool number 7 for overcoming objections that we teach, which is expert recommendations. And so what I would say here is something along the lines of, clients share this with me often, that they're really bought into this and their spouse isn't quite on board. And so I get that. So you're kind of discounting the objection. What I can tell you on the other side of this is what going to the doctor will do for you. And I would say number 1, number 2, number 3. In comparison, this is what we're going to do. And so I would write down, all health coaches, this is what a doctor is going to do. And I'm going to guess here, spend 5 minutes with you. 2, prescribe a drug. 3, whatever. And this is not about slamming the medical system at all, but that's the reality of what healthcare is, right?
Yes.
So in contrast, what we're going to do, and I'm making this up, is we're going to spend 6 weeks together getting to the root cause of your depression. Once you get to the root cause, then you're going to be able to, and I don't know health coaching well enough to insert here, but you're sort of comparing and contrasting. So thank you for sharing that with me. I understand how it feels. What I can tell you is past clients, spouses have felt this way, and they wanted them to go to the doctor because it's covered by insurance and whatever. And here's what I want you to know. Here's what you're going to get from the doctor. And in comparison, here's what you're going to get from a health coach. So you can absolutely start at the doctor. But at some point, most clients end up circling back around and saying, now I want to get to this issue at a more in-depth level. Yeah. And we're going to be able to get there faster. We're going to be able to get there from a holistic approach. And all of that means to you some benefit. And I would leave them with that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. And I can see why, Claudia, wanted you and I to talk, because our words might be different, but this is the same approach. And it's one of the things I love to do when I'm talking to my potential clients or my health coaching clients is, I like to share my story and say, when I say I understand, I really deeply understand what you're going through, because I've been there, and most of the time I have. And so one of the things I also share with health coaches is, we like to tell our clients at times, you're going to pay for it in some way or other. The doctor's either going to get your money, and the pharmacist is going to get your money, and the lab's going to get your money, or I'm going to be able to help you in a sustainable way that's going to work long term, where maybe you don't have to go running to the doctor when something happens. So I love that. And I do actually have an infographic, doctor versus health coach, I'm working on right now. So great, very helpful.
And one of the things I would also do, and I just thought of this, but one of the things I would do, like for example, let's say type 2 diabetes. I would look at I would Google some statistics. So what is the lifetime cost of type 2 diabetics on your average 30-year-old, 40-year-old, 50-year-old? And so 80% of type 2 diabetics die of cardiovascular disease. They're going to be on more than one medicine to have their diabetes controlled. Like the lifetime cost of that disease for one person is massive compared to a short-term investment with a health coach. Like we could even flip the switch on them and say, this is how you actually save money. Right. So in the long run, you may pay a $20 copay, but over the lifetime, if we don't get to the root cause of this, statistics say you're likely to pay $100,000 or whatever. You could do this with anything. You could do this with weight. You could do this with food. You could anything.
Right. Yes, absolutely. That's a great tip. So, okay. So let's look at we've got some questions coming in here. Let's take a peek at what we're asking. Okay. I'll go ahead and read them to you if that's okay.
Yeah.
All right. So Natalia says, I think I have a sales PTSD, so to speak. Out of college, I worked for a company that sold an expensive and inferior product. Since then, I hate selling. Any advice on how to change that mindset? Great question.
I love this question. Well, the first thing is, number one, being aware of it is half the battle. Like G.I. Joe used to say, right? Like knowledge or whatever, being aware of it is half the battle. The next thing is, I love this because it sets the barometer for where you don't want to be. Yeah. So all I would use that is, okay, great. I don't want to go here. So in order for me to feel really good about selling, how can I deliver a product that is superior? How can I wow my customers? This is where I don't want to go. I'm going to go so far away from this that it feels like not just helping, but like I am changing people's lives every day. And you have to figure out what that means for you. But I would use those rotten sales experiences for any of you to say, this is where we don't want to go. If at any time it feels like I want to vomit or I want to, somebody said stab a fork in my eye today on one of our calls, you need to stop what you're doing and figure out how you can do that exercise in a way that doesn't feel like that.
Right. Yes. Just like people who get involved with multi-level marketing to make more money and then they feel terrible about it because it's not something they want to sell, but they're trying to make money on it. If you don't feel good about it, doesn't matter what it is. You're not gonna make the money that you want to make. It's an energy thing, in my opinion.
Yeah, and there's a tool I teach called your sales guardrail, and basically everybody has one, and everybody's is different. So your sales guardrail is just this line of comfort, if you will. Mm-hmm. And on one side of your sales guardrail is what this person described. It's that icky, sleazy, slimy, pushy, selling an inferior product. On the other side, it's like super, super passive. Like, I'm just going to drink Mai Tais, and if I build it, they will come. Neither one of those works, y'all. Neither one. Right. Everybody's sales guardrail, though, is somewhere in between there. Since I've had multiple years of sales training, maybe I'm comfortable being a little bit more aggressive. Carmen's comfortable being a little bit more aggressive because she's been doing this for a long time. It doesn't matter. There's no right or wrong. The point is, if you are not selling within your guardrail, you'll know it. You'll feel it in your stomach. You'll feel it in your throat. You'll think, I don't want to do this. It'll feel like that other person described, like I hate it. If you're engaging in an activity you hate, it's not going to work. Stop. The caveat here that most people miss is, let's take follow-up, for example. If you're following up and follow-up makes you want to throw up or whatever, it doesn't excuse that you still have to follow up. Mm-hmm. Because follow-up increases your business 50 to 80%. We have to find a way to do it in a way that doesn't make you want to throw up. So there are some sales basics that we have to do, but you should never be engaging in an activity that makes you feel icky, sleazy, slimy, gross, like a bully. If you are, that is your indication. Stop. You're not selling within your sales guardrail. Let's move back closer. What would make this feel more like helping? What about if I change this word? What about instead of an email, I recorded a quick video? I don't care. It needs to feel good.
Right. Yeah. I love that. I love it. So along the same lines, Laura's asking, does follow up primarily mean that you're going to place a phone call?
No. So typically my people hate phone selling. They hate it. And so, and I don't like it either, by the way. It's not my favorite form of, it's certainly not in follow-ups. Don't like it. So it's usually over email.
Okay. All right. So easy enough. All right. Simone is asking, would it be good to share a new testimonial from an existing new client to an old potential client just to touch base with them again with the same problem?
Would it be good to share a testimonial from an existing new client with an old potential client? So old potential client means someone that you've already worked with?
Yeah. And old, I think she means like an old client. Probably worked with someone maybe that you say like had diabetes, but they overcame it by working with me. And then you have someone that maybe is dealing with type 2 and they want to work with you. She's asking.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So the verbatim I would use there would be, after you check in, I've included a recent testimonial from a client who is dealing with type 2 diabetes. It really speaks to the impact our work on type 2 diabetes can have on your life, your health, not business, but whatever. So yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. So one of the questions here, what is the number one mistake the health coaches are making when they're trying to sell their services? What is it? I know you've got to have some great ideas because I have some and everyone else seems to think they know what the number one mistake is, but I think you probably got the answer for us. What is it?
There are two. So it's a trick question. Okay. There are two. Number one is you're not communicating the benefits of what you offer. So let's say that I'm addicted to Diet Coke. Okay. And you say to me as a health coach, we're going to get you unaddicted to that Diet Coke. Aspartame is the devil, and we're going to get you unaddicted to that Diet Coke. You think as the health coach, why would you not want to be unaddicted to that Diet Coke? Why would you not want to rid yourself of that addiction? However, I love my freaking Diet Coke.
Right.
I don't want anybody to tell me they're going to take my Diet Coke away. Even if I'm talking to you, I'm still leery of it. And so we need to talk about the benefits of what coming off of Diet Coke is going to do for me. It's a silly example because we're using Diet Coke, but you're going to feel better. You're going to have more energy. You're going to live longer. I don't know what the benefits of coming off Diet Coke are, but you all do. So it's not just about, we're going to help you get control of your A1Cs. We're going to help you. What does that mean? Well, in our type 2 diabetic example, it may mean you get to keep your legs, because lots of diabetics, have problems with that. I mean, it could be anything.
Right.
So we need to really speak to the benefits, and not just the benefits as they affect our customer, but how the benefits creep. So sort of like TLC, the song Creep. So what creep?
Yeah.
So how do they creep out? How do they affect your family? How do they affect your work? How do they affect your income? How do they affect what you're spending on medicine? So we do not accurately present or represent the benefits and how life-changing they are. Number 2, mistake that health coaches and all coaches make is they believe that their customers can't afford it. So all the time we hear, I can't afford it, I can't afford it, I can't afford it. And sales research shows that 9 times out of 10, it has nothing to do with price. Think about it. People pay $1,000 for a new iPhone every 2 years.
Yeah.
They pay astronomical amounts of money to get a 60-inch TV when they had a 56-inch TV before. We pay for what we value, at least in the States. We pay for what we value. And so your money, their money is none of your business. It is not up to you to figure out how to pay for it. It is not up to you to help them figure it out. It is your job, just like it's Best Buy's job, to present the product, to present the benefits, and tell the price. That's it. Yeah. If I walked into Best Buy and said, I can't afford it, but I really want it, they'd say, buy.
Yeah.
So believing that your customer can't afford it, not your business. And actually, you're doing them a disservice.
Totally
You're doing them a disservice by buying into that story, by believing that it's true, and by prejudging people. So I had somebody say to me, well, she's a teacher. She can't afford it. I said, did she tell you that? No, but she's a teacher. I know what teachers make. Oh my gosh, she could be the heir to the Starbucks fortune. You have no idea. Get out of their business.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I just did a call last week about this where I said, you know what? It's not your yard to step into to tell someone where to put their money.
Absolutely not.
It's not your business to tell them what to do with it. But just know that if their hair is done and their nails are done and their yard looks great and everything else is going on over there, but they're not valuing their health and they're spraying Roundup on their weeds, you're not going to convince them of otherwise. You've got to get back into your yard and let them deal with their own. I'm big on boundaries, really big on boundaries in my business and teaching coaches about that. And I love that you what you just said a minute ago too about that, where you were, saying that coaches that is one thing they do. They say they can't afford it. Oh, they don't have enough money. They don't this. It really puts us in a position of making decisions for other people that we have no business doing. Absolutely. I don't want anybody telling me, that you can't afford this or that. I'll go without a haircut for 6 months to afford what I want.
Absolutely. Without a doubt. When I was selling pharmaceuticals, I had a drug one time that was statistically proven to extend somebody's life after a heart attack. The competition was not in a head-to-head trial. So I went into a cardiologist who was not writing my product. And I said, if your wife had a heart attack, God forbid, which drug would you put her on? He said, well, I'd put her on yours. And I said, why? He said, well, because your drug has mortality data, meaning my wife's going to live longer if she's on this drug. And I said, then why aren't your patients getting this drug? Because I knew they weren't. I was leaving samples. They weren't going off the shelf. And he said, well, my patients can't afford your product. And it was about triple the cost of the generic. And I said, you know what? I will provide samples for anybody who can't afford it, but it is your job as the doctor, and I'm an aggressive seller. It is your job as the doctor to present the patient with both options. Let them make the decision. Like it is, if this drug is superior, at least present it. So what I say to people all the time is, do you want your cardiologist sizing you up and deciding if you can afford your a heart-saving, life-saving drug? No, then don't do that to your customers, because it's what we do.
Yeah. It's actually happened to me before where someone's like, I don't dress in Lululemon and all that all the time. I'll wear Target and go in somewhere if I'm shopping or whatever. And I've had people say to me, well, that's an extra $52. And I'll look at them like, do I look like I really care about the money? I'm asking about the benefits. I want to know how this is going to help me. I don't really care how much it costs. Oh, the next thing you know, you're walking out with several $100s worth of accessories and things for your phone because you dropped that belief that you can't afford something,
Yeah.
that feels icky to me for someone to
Well, yeah. And in contrast, it can also push customers away. So I had a videographer say to me a couple of years ago, this is going to be really expensive. And I'm not sure somebody who runs a mommy blog is a good candidate. And I was like, you know what? Thanks so much for telling me that. Actually, we're going to hit 7 figures this year. And I don't run a mommy blog, but it's been lovely meeting you.
Yes. Yeah. You're
So,
you don't have my best interest in mind.
No. So it's not, the money is not your business. Your customer's money is not your business. Get out of it.
Yeah. Good. I love that. And so I want to go back also to the beginning where you were talking about how you need to tell people what the benefits are. I think too often we're using scare tactics to get people to work with us. Where we're like, well, if you keep eating that, it's going to cause problems, instead of saying, you know what your life could be like without that? Let me show you all the amazing things that are on the other side of this, right? Yeah. So I love that point. Okay, Natalia has another question. What if you prevent the objections by stating in your rules before they even work with you very directly that you don't want a client that hasn't exhausted other options, like all medications and doctors, that if other people make decisions about their health, or if they aren't 100% committed, it's a long question. Do you want to look at it? Maybe you should look at it, because I don't want, maybe there's several answers to this. So yeah.
Well, so I think that this depends. So, I mean, if that's who you want to work with, if you want to work with people who have only exhausted all other medical options, then great. I think that's what you say. Is this going to prevent objections? No. If that's why you're having this in your rules, it may prevent my husband wants me, or my wife wants me to go see a doctor objection. But it's not going to prevent I can't afford it. You also say they're only 100, or if they aren't 100% committed to their health. Here's the thing. What I think is 100% committed to my health, you may not. You may say to be 100% committed to your health, you need to spend $25,000 with a health coach. And I may say, actually, my threshold to be 100% committed is $10,000 with a health coach. So I think that that's just way too subjective, the 100% committed to their health. I think you can say it, but in order to use it the way that I believe she's asking, when the objection came up, then you would say, well, I only work with people who are 100% committed. You're either committed or you're not. If you're committed, you're in. If you're not committed, you're out. Yes, you can sell that way. Will that work? With some people. If that feels like helping, fantastic. You're selling within your guardrail. That does not feel like helping to me. So I don't sell that way. And I'm not making that wrong. That's what the guardrail's there for.
Right.
But I don't think the way the question is worded, what if you prevent objections? This is not going to prevent objections. People are going to find an objection. It's just what we do.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, people can come up with all kinds of excuses for anything and everything, right? Mm-hmm. All right. So one of the things that comes to mind when I'm teaching my students every week, I do a live call every week, and they seem to have this. It's almost like a wall or a barrier or a blockade that they can't get over, that they are. And we've already touched on a little bit about deserving or worthy of receiving. So where do you think that belief or that mindset really comes from, that people are not worthy or deserving of being paid? Not necessarily, for specific things, but a solid belief that, well, I just don't want to ask. I've never really felt worthy of receiving. Where do you think that comes from?
Well, I think it could be multifold. I think that, some of us, our life experiences just with money and our money story. You hear lots of money experts talk about your money story. I think that it could be that. I think that it's really, really, really a normal feeling in the begining to feel unworthy, especially when you raise your prices, to feel unworthy to charge this amount of money. What I always do, so if I'm leery of the price, if I'm feeling unworthy, I have people do the quota exercise, where the quota exercise is where I go back and I list everything that I promised, right? And then I also, if I'm having this worthiness issue, because I think you run into it from time to time when you're selling, I list everything that I do to over deliver that maybe isn't promised, right? But that I know I'm going to do. And then I say, okay, great. If I can teach somebody how to have a sales conversation that converts, that gets them more clients, if I can teach somebody how to increase their business by 50%, if I can teach somebody how to whatever, yeah, actually, it's okay for me to charge it. I give myself permission. But I also think that that's not going to work for everybody, because I don't know where it comes from. I think that women struggle with this more than men.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there is it could be a really deep-seated issue from childhood.
Mm-hmm.
And what's that saying, Carmen? People running a business you'll what is that saying? You'll uncover all your own.
Oh yes. I know what you're talking about, but yeah, you're gonna uncover your own wounds and your old wounds and your old problems. Yeah,
it's the biggest journey through self-help you'll ever take, right?
Totally. Yes. Talk about rejection and learning, and oh my gosh, yeah.
But I also think that as your business grows, you will have opportunities where worthiness always comes into play. So, think about, I don't know, I don't know what you want as a health coach, but let's say that you get invited to be on Oprah. Well, even if you have felt worthy up until this whole life, I can tell you that you might feel unworthy before you step out on the Oprah stage. Or maybe you have a best-selling book and get asked to keynote and people are throwing money at you. And so worthiness is going to come up as you run a business. I think that the thing I would recommend is get some great tools to deal with it. Get a good life coach, get a good therapist. I don't know where I'd be without that kind of thing.
Oh, I'm with you. I love therapy. I love coaching. I think we all need someone to objectively look at us and what we're doing with our lives in business and personally as well.
Oh, and one other thing I would recommend is, and this is just a book I'm reading right now, is Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Love it. I love that. I have that on my audiobooks.
Is it not amazing?
Oh my gosh. Yes. I have to go back and re-listen sometimes.
I do too.
What did he just say? Okay.
I do too.
Yes.
I do too. But if you want to overcome some of those deep-seated things and we don't know where we came from, it's a hard read. It is a life-changing read.
It absolutely is. I agree. And there's one called The Seeker's Guide as well that I love. Yeah. The Seeker's Guide is amazing.
Yeah.
And I love that you brought this part into it too, because I don't think if we stop growing in our personal lives, we can't really continue to grow in our business as well. When we uncover so much of the pieces that maybe are triggering us, or we're giving advice to someone and it feels like something we should be saying to ourselves or whatever, I think it's important to be really present in your own personal life when you're working in your business, right?
I agree completely. And what I have found is it actually will stop your business. I mean, there have been times when, we've been around for 7 years. And there have been times when it's been hard. And even after we made it, whatever that means, there have been times when I still found myself on the bathroom floor crying, thinking, oh my gosh, how do we get to the other side of this? And if the personal work had to come first.
Totally.
I mean, I make mistakes. When you're as public online as you and I are all the time, you are going to say something that you wish you could just suck back in that didn't come out the way you wanted it to come out, you know?
Yes.
And now it's out for hundreds of thousands of people to see. So I think that, that's part of the journey. And I have to self-coach and get my rear end kicked by my colleagues lots in the mindset area.
Yeah. I'm with you. I agree. I've had to be called to the carpet multiple times, most recently about, when you start to scale and grow and your team's like, all right, Carmen, I'm like, oh, you almost get small again, but you have to.
You do. That's what I meant. Yes.
Yes, you get small. And that means that there's something inside of you that maybe needs some healing, or a wound that's been reopened from being a child. Maybe someone made you feel that way as a child. It's a learning experience. If you shove it down, you won't grow. Face it, deal with it, and move on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So here, let's go back to the business thing real quick. We're running up on 45 minutes or so. So questions, you guys, in the Q&A. We'll check back with that in just a moment. But what are your thoughts about putting your prices out for people before you actually develop any kind of a relationship with them, even if it's through the phone or a quick consultation call, or them getting to know, like, and trust you? Do you believe they should know your prices prior to?
Yeah, this is a great question. So I have a general rule, and this is there's no science to this, but my general rule is if the price is $10,000 or under, it goes on the website. Actually, $999 or under, it goes on the website. $10,000 and above, it does not. And here's why. I do think that stating the investment, there's an energetic exchange there, just with the universe that says, I am worthy of these prices. I'm putting them out. I do. I think above $10,000, I begin to think, if I was paying somebody $10,000, let's say I hired you, right, as my personal health coach, I might not want everybody and their brother to know how much money I'm paying you. Let's say I paid you $25,000 and I'm like, everybody, I'm working with Carmen and she's amazing. And everybody goes to check it out. And then like, oh my God, she paid her $25,000. Like out of respect for clients that pay more than that, I don't put it on the website because I don't think it's anybody's business. I have paid up to $50,000 to one person before. And I'm so thankful she didn't put it on the website because I quite honestly didn't want everybody to know.
Yeah.
Everybody knew I was working with her, but I didn't want everybody to know how much it cost. But I am a believer. So I will not give prices over Facebook usually. Like I'll send them to a sales page where it has all the information. I don't normally just answer the question, well, how much does it cost or what's the investment? They need to see the whole sales page, the whole whatever. But my rule of thumb is $9,999 and under goes on the website. Anything else does not.
Okay. And so this is a personal question for me because we are kind of in a dilemma with this right now with my business. And I was saying, I think we need to let people know. I think it needs to be on the sales page, how much, the enrollment fee is. Yes, book a call. Yes, we'll talk to you for an hour, 2 hours to answer your question. Here's a 2-hour video on the curriculum. But I think it should be on there. And my team is saying no. So you think it should be. So if the enrollment price is $59.97, you think I should put that out there, let them know energetically, this is what we are all about. Then if they book that call, then you know that that's a warmer client than a cold client, correct?
100%. And I asked this question of my mentor 6 years ago, Marie Forleo, and she said 100% it should be on there. Okay. So take that for what it's worth. I mean, that
was my gut. So. Yeah, that was my gut. And it still keeps coming back. And I'm like, I still feel that way. So I like the confirmation. And I know that I love my team and they're amazing and they're just looking out for me, but
absolutely.
Sometimes we need to get that, expert input. So I appreciate that. Absolutely. Okay. So the other thing is that I want to ask you real quick is this, if someone is selling a high ticket program, course, class, something like that, do you believe there should be an exploration call or discovery call to answer questions to someone about, what their concerns might be about paying that amount of money?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think that, if you're selling 500 spots, that may be hard to do, but I do think at some level there needs to be an opportunity. I mean, you're asking people to give you not just a lot of money, but also their time. Usually in higher ticket items, it's a bigger time investment. Time's our most precious resource. I think it's the best way to sell anything is that sales consult call is what I call it. So yeah, absolutely. 100%.
I agree with that. Awesome. Okay. So Diana's saying, in my graphics business, I started out with low self-esteem and desperation to survive. I would take whatever anyone would pay me. And it set my mindset that I wasn't worth what other graphic designers made, even though I had 2 decades more experience and raw talent. I think that's so common.
Yep.
Yeah, it is. And now hopefully, Diane, you've gotten your experience and that mindset is shifting, right?
Yeah. And I would think also, I mean, this just goes back to kind of what you and I both believe, you start at a low price, right? $197, whatever, $97, $197. And you don't do a 10-month program for $97. You do a small give, but you over deliver. But then there's a process to raise the prices because you get more confident. And Diane says, I'm way beyond that now through experience, through whatever. Now she's way beyond that.
Yeah, I totally agree. So we're tapping into instincts and intuition and what feels right and good to us, which is no different than what we're asking our clients to do as health coaches when we put the ball in their court and make them accountable to their decisions. It's the same thing. We need to kind of turn that lesson around on ourselves and say, what feels good to me? What doesn't feel right to me? What gives you, what did you call that? Icky, yucky, gross, whatever.
Icky, slimy, gross. Yeah.
Yeah, that. So I agree with that. And I think it's all about instincts and intuition in our business anyway. It truly is. Do you believe that health coaches should just take anyone that's willing to work with them, even if the person is, and I say non-committal. In other words, they have all kinds of excuses. They're married to the life and they're defensive and all of that. I say, let them go on their way. What do you say about that?
Well, I think it depends on who you want to work with and how much of a challenge you want. After a while, you begin to learn the people that you're going to be able to have success with and the people that you're not going to be able to have success with. And different experts maybe have a different threshold for what that is. Mm-hmm. It is my belief if somebody is bought in on me and they want to pay me, and I think I can help them, and there's not a personality clash, sure, I'll take them. It's up to them to make it work. So if somebody were saying to me, Kendrick, I want to sell, I want to run a business, I want to whatever, but I'm busy, but here's my money. What I'm going to say to them is we need to have a really serious talk about what it's going to take in order for you to run this business. And if they say I'm bought in, but I'm this, and this, that's their decision. And health is a little bit different, but I also think that in the beginning, don't make it harder on yourself, right?
Yeah. Yes.
But it's not up to us to get results for our clients. And it's a common misconception in every coaching industry. You know, if I go to Lowe's or Home Depot and I say, I want the best lawnmower you have, and they sell me a $5,000 lawnmower. I don't even know how much lawnmowers cost, by the way, but let's say they sell me a $5,000 lawnmower and I bring it home and I park it in my garage and I go back to Lowe's in 3 months and say, my grass is knee high. You sold me this $5,000 lawnmower. Okay, well, what happened when you turned it on? I didn't. So you're giving them the lawnmower. You're telling them how to turn it on. You're showing them how to use it. You're not going to mow the grass for them.
Yes.
It is up to them to turn the lawnmower on, pull it out of the garage and mow the grass. Right. Same thing with health coaching.
Yeah.
And I think that we take way too much responsibility for our client to mow the grass for our clients. That's a recipe for disaster.
Oh my gosh. I could not agree with you more. I love that. You know, I think and that's a whole foundation of the Institute is making people accountable for their decisions and their choices.
Absolutely.
100%. Yeah. I'm having a coughing fit. Laura is asking thoughts on social media to sell, any pointers on the do's and don'ts.
Yeah. So the first thing is statistics show that people who use social media sell 70% more than people who do not. So my answer to that is it's an absolute must in today's society.
Yes.
I think that people do it wrong. So I think people try to skip to the steps 3, 4, and 5 of selling before they prospect and engage. Okay. So we have a pretty robust social media plan, but I think 1 out of every 5 posts should be promotional. Everything else should be prospecting, engaging. And so, one of the biggest things I would say is find people to help. If you're just starting, find people to help, give a tip, give it whatever, post your freebie. You know, you're struggling with eating after 7 p.m. at night. I have a freebie that'll help with that. No strings attached. Just want to help you out kind of thing. Right. So yes, I think you should sell on social media. The statistics prove that that's true, but I think that you have to approach it like anything else where it's going to take some time. It's going to take some time for you to be seen as the expert. Yeah. Give. Eventually you'll be seen as the expert.
100% agree with that. And show up. I mean, show up authentically. Show up. Don't show up as copying anybody else. Just be who you are. Put out there what feels good to you. That's one of my favorite things to do is to give. And I've actually been pulled back on that quite a bit. They're like, Carmen, you've got to stop giving so much. I'm like,
yeah, me too.
But I love it.
Yeah, me too. And you made a great point, Carmen, about show up as authentically you and don't be anybody else. So one of the things I did years ago was there's somebody who is a friend of mine who does social media really well in her business. And I watched her and I observed her. And I set the energetic expectation that I was not going to get into compare and despair. She's much further along than me, but I was going to watch her. And I saw what she did. And then I said, great. I love how my dog is barking. I love how she does this, but I want to do it my way. Right. Yeah. So I kind of learned the process from her, but then I made it very Kendrick. Yeah. I'll give you an example. I had one of my first clients, my first $5,000 client said she hired me because of the way I showed up on social media. And I said, can you give me specifics? And she said, I like the way you solve problems. I like the way you gave, and I like the way you were unapologetically a New Kids on the Block fan.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
I mean, because I used to post all the time about, I love New Kids on the Block or something. And I do. That was authentically me.
Yes.
But I laughed out loud because I'm like, isn't that interesting? The most random thing ever, being a New Kids on the Block fan at 30, whatever I was, caught her attention more than all the other posts.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think I love that because for me, I'm a big fan of therapy and neurofeedback and rewiring the brain and really shifting the thoughts that we have. And that's kind of a topic that a lot of people are fearful of letting other people know that they're working on themselves or they have secrets or they have shame or they have guilt or whatever. And I am and you can probably ask most of the people on here that know me very well, wide open about the fact that I've experienced trauma, but I'm working through it and this is what works. And I get more messages and emails and posts about being that authentic person that shows the world I'm a person than I do about anything else that I do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
We crave authenticity. We crave realness. We crave it helps to see the messy side. And boy, from my experience, my experience, it can be messy and ugly, and it can be beautiful too. That's life.
Yeah, I agree so much. Yeah. Jane says, what are the steps 4 and 5? I missed them.
Prospecting is number 1. Engaging is number 2. Get to the problems, number 3. Number 4 is present the solution. Number 5 is overcome objections. Number 6 is close the sale and over deliver. And number 7 is referrals and testimonials.
Yes, I remember those steps. When you repeated them this time right here, I was in promotional advertising. Not the best, not where I needed to be, but it was completely sales calls. I mean, it was face-to-face. It was networking. This is back in the 90s. And I remember that. I remember those outlines and thinking to myself, what am I doing in this position? This is just not for me. I did fine at it, but not as well as I could have. I didn't embrace the whole thing. Now it's different, 20 years later, different.
Well, yeah. And I've done my share of phone sales. That's not the funnest job in the world. I will say it's not the most fun job.
I know. I would sweat and I would just get my heart would pound. I'm like, wait a minute, these people can't even see me. Why am I getting so worked up about this? Yeah. We can drive ourselves into the ground on that stuff, but you've been amazing. And I'm so grateful. Thank you, Claudia, for coming to us and talking. This has been amazing tips. Now, what do you offer to people to help them really overcome this? Do you have a program? Do you have something that health coaches could benefit from?
Yeah. So we have, thank you, Claudia, by the way. Claudia's amazing. Yeah. So I offer Sales School, which is a 7-week online experience where you get the opportunity to sort of walk through these 7 steps of selling. It's really different, and Claudia can speak to this, but it's really different than most things I've seen out there. It's really involved. I'm very active, and you also get access to this library full of done-for-you stuff. So done-for-you follow-ups. Got a price objection? I got 7 follow-ups for that. My husband doesn't want me to do this. I've got a follow-up for that. But when you walk away, and this will be our 7th year doing it the next time we do it, you walk away with the skills you need to make money in your business in a way that feels like helping. And that's the most important thing, right? Because you've got these amazing skills as a health coach, you've got these amazing skills as a whatever coach, and now, and you may even have some business skills. Mm-hmm. But what business skills usually don't teach is how to sell.
Yes.
And so there are specific things you have to do. For example, learning the exact words to say to overcome objections. We give you the verbatims, the statistically proven verbatims. And so learning that really, it's like the yeast that makes the bread dough rise in all your other trainings. Like, oh my gosh, this is it. I spent all this time, all this money, and now I'm ready to convert clients. That's what Sales School does for you.
Oh, I love it. Okay. And I will be sharing that, the link for that in the replay. I'll be posting it on our social media groups, everyone. So yes, I will definitely get that for you. And I love this. And I always tell my coaches, just because you don't have an actual product or a brick and mortar business, you are your brand, you are your service. You have to sell who you are. And there has to be a way to do that feels really good. So I have no doubt that you can deliver that. No doubt at all.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And yeah, you do. I mean, we're our business, right? And I completely agree. That's why I'm sitting here in pearls in my dress when I could be in my sweats, but this is me and my business. So there you go.
There you are. Yeah. So I appreciate you so much, Kendrick. Thank you so much again. And maybe we'll bring you back for something after, we get some feedback. I know there's going to be a lot more questions. We'd love to have you back again and take it even further if you're open to that.
I would be honored. Thank you all. And I just want to say that I think health coaching is one of the most powerful gifts that you all can give to the world. Health coaches have changed my life. And it's possible. It's possible. Obviously you have a great example in Carmen, but from an outside perspective, what you do matters.
Yeah.
So don't let your fear of whatever, worthiness, selling, running a business stop you, because there are people who need you.
Agreed.
Thank you
very much. All right. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Thank you so much, Kendrick. Bye. Everybody. Bye.